Okay, so if you're one of the fortunate people to be really close in my life, you know that I'm really good at doing one thing, and that's burning out. No, I'm not talking about burning out at 2 a.m. on the back roads. I'm talking about burning out in life. Hi, I'm Brian. I'm 22 years old, and I'm the guy that everybody knows as a workaholic. Or so they did. See, about 10 months ago, I used to work my literal fanny off into the ground 12 hours a day, and I still kind of do sometimes, but it's a lot better now. Among those 12-hour days, I would encounter something known as a burnout. So what exactly is a burnout? So if you didn't peak in high school, then you're most likely working a job really hard, or you're building a business on the side, or you're doing something that's requiring a lot of emotional energy and physical energy to achieve something bigger in life. Now, along that path comes emotional stress, physical stress. And when you add those two up a little too much, you encounter something called a burnout. And that's when you emotionally and physically drain and you basically collapse. Not as in you collapse and faint, I mean you emotionally collapse and you cannot do anything. You feel lethargic. Your productivity comes to a screeching halt. So with burnouts, actually, wait, I want to show you something real quick. Okay, so remember I said that I used to work my fanny off 12 plus hours a day. This is what my calendars used to look like. Every single week, every single day, this is what I'd be doing. And it wasn't fun at all. See, I'd be waking up at 7 in the morning. I'd be leaving my house probably around 8, 8:30. And I'd be going to shoots. I work for a company for real estate photography. And I'd be shooting for them, maybe 4 or 5 times, maybe 3 or 4 shoots per day. And I'd be shooting until 6, 7, 8 p.m. at night sometimes. I'd come home and I would still be working. I'd still be uploading. I'd still be editing. And I wouldn't get any sleep. Because on top of shooting real estate photography, I'm also building my own personal business, Brian Blair Productions. So when you add up all the work that I'd be putting into a physical job, all the mental energy it takes to interact with people every single day, and on top of it, add your own business, add social anxiety, add all this other crap and distraction, you enter something called a burnout. So a burnout is specifically defined by ruining one's health or becoming completely exhausted through overwork. Also becoming exhausted by doing one task for too long. See, when you do something over and over again, especially if you're forced to do it, you're gonna burn out. And I know this from experience. See, I love photography and I'm building my own business in photography and I love shooting with people every single day. However, when you're forced to do something like your passion, you're forced to do it to make money, right? To pay the bills. You eventually are gonna burn out because now you're chained to it. Now you're not doing it because you want to, you're doing it because you have to. And that's not right. See, we get so caught up in these spells of having to work so hard and accomplish everything by yesterday and get the best of the best. And although that is true, and I believe that should be done to some extent, there has to be a balance. Otherwise, you're going to encounter a burnout. And I've burnt out, probably maybe about 3 or 4 times in the last 2 years. They're not fun. And the way you can tell you're burning out is, well, first of all, burnouts are very similar to the feeling of laziness and being lethargic. And a lot of people mistake being lazy for being burnt out. And there's a very distinct difference between the two of them. So burning out is when you are constantly working over and over and over. You're building a business, you're working a job, you're physically running yourself into the ground, you're stressed out due to family complications, social anxiety, depression, and all these other complications that add up all at once. Basically, imagine you're lifting up about 700 pounds of weight and all of a sudden your legs just give out and you collapse. That's burning out. You're mentally exhausted. You want to do stuff, but you can't. Your body physically will not let you. You'll go to sleep every night and you'll wake up and you won't even want to get out of bed. You may think in the back of your head, you may want to do this, or you want to get out, you want to go do something, but you just physically can't muster up the energy to even move. And I've been there so many times and it sucks. There's a difference between burning out and being lazy. See, lazy is you're always finding an easy way out. You're always finding an excuse. You're not working so hard. Oh, I could be doing this, but I'd rather just choose to stay in bed. Burning out is when you would rather be choosing to go and go and go, but you physically cannot. You're held back by your own restraints, by your own body, by your own mind. That's where it starts to get very unhealthy. See, with burning out, you need to have a balance. The only cure for burning out is to balance that. See, like my calendar that I just showed you, that was what my schedule was back in November, December, January, about 6 months ago. Now, it's about in half because I learned how to balance it. So collectively, for those of you who don't know, I am working a job full-time as a real estate photographer. I'm building my own portrait business. I'm working a lot. And most of it is working remotely from a computer. And it takes a lot of energy to do what I do. Here's the stages of burning out before you actually collapse. So let's say there's two scenarios. Let's say you're forced to, work a job to pay the bills, or you're doing something that you actually love, but you're chained to it. Let's start with scenario number one. All right. You're living by yourself. You're supporting yourself some way or the other. And you have to work a 9 to 5 or some sort of, physically and mentally draining job every single day just to pay the bills and make ends meet, right? So you hate the job. You don't want to be there. You want to do your own thing, right? Let's say the job could be easy. Let's say it's a mindless task, like most 9 to 5s are. They're mindless. They don't really require that much of a special skill unless you're a doctor or an engineer. But you're working just a regular job, right? Over and over and over, you're tolling your body physically and mentally if you don't balance it out. And eventually you're going to start to reach a phase where you feel robotic. You're going to wake up and you're going to go through the motions again. You already know what's coming up next. It feels like you're living in a Groundhog Day your entire life. Phase 2, you start to feel a lot more tired. It could be, you might be thinking like, oh, I'm not just getting enough sleep. I'll get more sleep or I'll rest a little bit more, right? No, that's not it. You're starting to burn out. So the roboticness paired with the emotional and physical tiredness starting to wear on, it starts to increase over time to a point where you physically feel numb. You get home from work, you're emotionally numb, you're physically numb. You collapse in your bed after a hard day, you don't want to move. You don't want to talk, you don't want to do anything. You just want to sit in your bed, watch videos, relax, and do that. That's a burnout. And people can sense that because you start to become socially distant. You don't want to do anything anymore. You lose all motivation to get out of the house. You're like, I gotta go to work. I gotta rest, right? So you become in this endless loop of waking up, going to work, coming home, going to sleep. Waking up, going to work, coming home, going to sleep. You do that 5 days a week, and on the weekends you maybe get some sleep, right? But over and over again, you start to enter this why am I blanking on the word? Over and over again, you start to enter this hamster wheel of just going and going and going and going. And then the last stage of burning out is now that you've suffered, now everything around you starts to suffer. Your relationships, your friends, your significant others, your life starts to fall apart because you're now not giving enough energy to it. They can't rely on you. But it's not you. It's not intentionally you. You're just burnt out. And some people don't realize that. That's scenario number one. Scenario number two, and this is where I personally relate to this one, is where you love to do something. And you love to do it so much it doesn't feel like work, right? So now you get a job or a career in that field. Now it's work. Because now you're chained to it. You can't choose to stop. You can't choose what you want to do. You are now forced to do it. For the company I work for, I shoot real estate photography 5 days a week from about 10 a.m. to about 6 or 7 p.m. Yeah, I can choose relatively, when I really want to shoot and I have flexibility on schedules, but I'm chained down to shooting it. Now, I'm not saying anything bad about it, but if you do that for a long period of time over and over again without balancing out, you'll burn out. And for me, I burnt out not because of my job, but because I didn't know my limit. See, outside of my day job, I'm building my own business in photography. I'm building other businesses and I'm managing all of my social media accounts. It's a lot and it gets overwhelming at times. I take in my own projects. Sometimes I'm shooting 12, 13-hour days for 5 days in a row. Sometimes I'm, doing post-production all weekend long. I don't have time for friends. I don't have time for social. I don't have time to go out and have fun and balance, right? Things start to suffer. My relationships, my family, my friends. Where are you? We can't get a hold of you. What's going on? You're not there. Everyone starts to worry, right? And they think that I'm blowing them off and I'm avoiding them and I'm not giving them, I guess the attention that they want, it's really because I'm burnt out. See, there's one way to avoid burning out, and that one way is balance. My problem wasn't balance all the time. My problem was knowing the limit of when to balance. All right. So knowing when too much is too much. If you ask anybody that knows me personally, they'll say that I take on so much work. I'll be at full schedule all day, and I just love what I do so much that I sometimes can't even say no. And it's a blessing and a curse because my passion and fuel for photography is so much that I just want to shoot everything. I just want to work with as many people as possible, to the point that I'm killing myself basically to do it. And recently I've learned that the balance in that is so key, because if I burn out, which I have numerous times before, right? Everything stops. I feel like a robot. I don't want to shoot anymore. The creativity stops. The art stops. So when you stop that creative juice from flowing because I feel like a robot, robots can't create, then what's the point of doing the art if I'm not in it? If I'm not all the way in it? So that's where it started to hit me harder. And I've been through so much loss because of a burnout in relationships and in family and in friends and in other factors of my life because of that. That alone didn't wake me enough to the point where I was like, okay, well, I'll figure that one out later. I'll figure out the friend stuff later. I'll make time for them later. That didn't hit me hard enough. What really hit me hard enough was the fact that I'm losing my creative touch. I'm losing myself if I burn myself out. So when that happened to me, I was like, okay, this has got to stop. And that's why I started to implement the balance. See, when I started to tailor back on a lot of projects, even though that I love to shoot them, I started to really understand the balance of being calm and taking a step back and thinking before impulsively booking something out and working these horrendous days. It starts to really bring back value of what I do and how I serve others. So for example, the calendar that you saw earlier, those were very full days. Not anymore. Right now, I'm shooting collectively about 4 hours a day and editing about maybe 4 hours a day. I go to the gym 1 hour a day, and I have me time of about 2 to 4 hours per day. Overall, it's well balanced. I do what I want. I control my own time, and I don't burn out. And I haven't burned out in months. And I'm actually almost coming up on a year on it. I'm actually very proud that I actually implemented something that has overall bettered my overall lifestyle. So now the people that once knew me as a workaholic, which is so funny, by the way, because so many people are still talking about a version of you that doesn't exist anymore. Like, a lot of people think you're still doing this. Oh, he's still working really hard. He's still spinning his wheels, right? They don't know anything. They don't know, because they haven't been in my life in a while to even see that. Nor is it their business to even know what I'm even up to unless I disclose that to them. Who cares? But it's just so funny how people don't know a version. They still talk about a version of you that doesn't exist anymore. And 6 to 7 months ago, it was like a completely different Brian. I don't know that person. If I looked at that person in the mirror, I would not even, I couldn't recognize who that was. And I just look back at how much growth has happened in my life, specifically my lifestyle, just because of this one word, balance, to stop the burning out cycle. Because I'd burn out, then I would take a week or so off to decompress. Then I would hit it again and hit it harder and harder and harder. And then I'd burn out again. And then I would just repeat. And it just wouldn't lead anywhere. It's like burning out in a car. You're spinning your wheels. You're not getting any traction. You're working so hard, but you're not getting any traction. And now that I've gotten life coached, I've gotten mentored into work smarter to make more money now and working less time than what I was 8 months ago, that's smarter. So now I can enjoy my life a little bit more by not working these strenuous 12-hour days. Now, they still happen. Some projects do happen where I will be working maybe 2 to 3 hours or 2 to 3 days consecutively, and they're long, like 7 a.m. to like maybe 9 p.m. every day. And that's not so bad if it's once in a while. But every day, no. So my one piece of advice for anybody out there who's actually, spinning their wheels is take a step back. You're not selfish for walking away from something that's hurting you, or temporarily just taking a step back and just assessing really what your lifestyle is like. Because, I mean, there's only one of you, and you can't burn yourself into the ground over and over again. I don't care if you say, oh, I'm young, because I was that person. I was the one that said, I'm young, I have that energy, I'll just do it now. And yeah, have that energy, do it if needed, but learn the balance. Take a step back, understand, hey, give yourself about 2 to 3 hours a day for you time. And I mean, no social media. That's already a toxic waste of time. No other distractions, no phone calls, no games, no nothing. Just you with yourself. Like, find something. For me, I drive. I go to the beach. I watch a sunset. I put down the camera. Yeah, I'm a human being. I'm not just a robotic photographer. I actually exist out there without a camera. Shocker if you guys see me out there without one. But find something out there that makes you tick. And recently I fell in love with snowboarding. Thanks to my best friend Kinga. She got me into it back last winter. And I look forward to it. Every single day right now, I look forward to it for that first powder day, that first fresh pow in the winter season. And that's something that I love. It's seasonal, half of the year I can do it, but find something overall. Other things I do is I do aviation. I'm studying to be a pilot. Not technically licensed yet, but yes, I fly planes. And I love that as well. It's leisure stuff. That's not a profession. That's not, a type of business. Stuff that you can enjoy life. Yes, be productive, achieve your goals, work hard, do that stuff along the way, but understand that if you're like that 110% all the time, something's gonna give. Whether it's gonna be you or everything that's supporting you in your life, something's gonna give. I actually even had so many people tell me to stop. Tell me, hey, you gotta stop. You gotta slow down. You gotta do this. You gotta, figure it out. And I honestly have no idea how I didn't listen to them. To those people that told me to slow the hell down and really just take a grasp at what life is, because it's moving by so quick. I just turned 22 last week. 22 years. I mean, yeah, that's still really young, but it felt like 2 years ago I just got out of high school. And that was in reality about 5 years ago. So yeah, life is moving by pretty quick. I want to take advantage of the moments. So however long it may take for you, or however hard it may be, if you're burning out, find something that can slow you down. Don't do what I did by running yourself into the ground, no matter what it is. Even if you love something. I still love photography. I still do a great job now. And I still make more money now than I did then when I was burning myself out. Because I found a way to work smarter. And take a step back and understand the situations in my life in which takes priority. So yeah. I work my ass off sometimes. And I'm proud of it. I am. But I'm also proud of the fact that I'm aware of when to cool it. Now, at least. So if you're feeling stressed out, or if you're just burning out and you just need something to just get your mind off something, perfect idea. Pop in some headphones. Listen to one of my podcasts. Just kidding. I mean, I'd appreciate it if you did, but, you don't have to. Point is, find something that sparks your fire. Find something that makes you come alive, that makes you happy, that relaxes you, that can make you get back in touch with yourself. Because more importantly than anything, your mental health comes first. And when you burn out, you're disrespecting your mental health. And you're putting yourself at risk. So don't do that anymore. Don't do what I did. Don't do what a lot of other people hopefully will realize what they're doing is wrong. Don't do what they're doing when they're just robotically burning out. Be smarter than that. Be stronger than that. Know your balance, know your limit. And if you hit your limit, never hit it again. Find a way to work smarter. So that way you can wake up being the best version of you that you can ever be. I'm Brian Blair. Keep smiling. I'll see you guys on the next one.